people to look at the coordination that's going on the screen. Look at Zach's background and shirt combo. Look at Joe's background and shirt combo. This is how we do it here on Stoppage Time. Like, we really about this. We are committed to the cause, even with the presentation. But that being said, it's Joe, it's Zach, Germ on camera. We're going to talk some of the Champions League. Remember, make sure you're following us, Scene, capital SCEN, Facebook fan page. Stoppage Time FC is the Twitter. Stoppage Time FC is the Facebook group. So today we had the first two of the 4 quarterfinal matchups. Liverpool losing 3-1 at Real Madrid. And we had Manchester City at the now we won't say the buzzer because it's not basketball, but they left it till late with the 2-1 dub over Borussia Dortmund. Joe, let me start with you. How's your heart?
It's taken a while to calm myself down after today's game. I felt really good when they scored 20 minutes in typical City fashion. And they were pretty much bossing stuff for the most part. In the first half, they had possession. Dortmund had the first real big opportunity of the match early on. And it was definitely an eventful first half. There was a lot of decisions that Zach and our boy Jerry were all discussing right off the bat. And as soon as Dortmund equalized towards the end, I was immediately texting with Zach and Jerry about our conversations we had last week about me being, nervous a little bit about this tie. And Zach, to his credit, I did the Bruce Lee meme to him. Immediately after that, I was like, dude, calm down. There's still time left. And then he was like, I can see City picking up another one here before they close it out. And within 2 minutes, pretty much of Zach saying that to me, Foden was putting in the back of the net. So, Zachary, I appreciate you talking me off the ledge. I respect you tremendously for that. It was not an easy match by any means. Easily could have been 2-1 the other way. Dortmund had a goal that they should have had. I don't feel true. Absolutely. My team has been on the other end, and we all have been on the other end of these before. So I don't have a whole lot of sympathy, but as a unbiased opinion, it should have been a goal. That was a BS call on Ederson. What happened was Ederson took his touch, and it was a little heavy and went up in the air more, and Bellingham came in and pretty much clean stole the ball from him, and it looked worse than it actually was. And there was very minimal, if any, contact. And Bellingham had a free run and tapped it in, and the ref called a foul, which gave City the ball and wiped that goal off of the board. So it easily could have been 2-2. There were some other opportunities for both teams. So it was certainly an eventful match.
Joe, there's been talk on something like Twitter and some things I read that City, specifically Pep, sets them up differently, or they just play different in the Champions League. And to me, that's more a case of you're just simply playing better opposition in the Champions League that you're playing on a normal Saturday in the Premier League. As a person who watches City on a regular, is there some truth that Pep does set them up differently, or this is just, hey, we just playing better people?
I think it's a little bit of both. Typically, Sterling has been a regular starter in the Champions League, and he was not involved. And both of our strikers are actually healthy right now, which is surprising. But Aguero and Jesus were both fit and ready to go. But Pep chose to go the false 9 route and had a bunch of midfielders out there. From what I watched today, it was not any different as far as the play goes. The style, the setup, the formation was all very similar to what they have played before this year. Cancelo was on the left back spot, and when he plays there, he typically, when City has possession, will kind of tuck in next to Rodri and play another central defensive player right in there, and he did that pretty much the whole game. So the style of play and the way he set the team up was, for this match at least, was very similar to the way they were running things when Aguero was out and Jesus was lacking in form. So for this particular match, He played normally, aside from having Sterling on the bench. Usually he would get the nod, but he went with Mahrez and Foden, and they both were involved with both goals. So good choice on his part, even though Zach and I have had discussions about Mahrez's quality, and especially in big matches. So there is truth to it, because in the past he's tinkered a lot more and played with formations that we weren't comfortable with, and kind of playing guys in roles that they weren't necessarily totally comfortable with as well. But for this, like I said, for this matchup, everybody was playing normal roles for the most part.
Switching to the other quarterfinal where we bring Zach in, because we're going to go that quarterfinal and then lead into tomorrow's action. Liverpool visiting Real Madrid, not at the Bernabeu, actually on Real Madrid's training ground. And that was very symbolic because Real Madrid basically took Liverpool to school today. 3-1. I think if you're a Liverpool fan like our man Trav, getting the one away goal does help you going into leg two, but it was as complete a taking apart as you will see of a team at this level. Zach, what happened to Liverpool today?
Let's cue up the Kanye. Not to say I told you so, but I told you so. The fact that Liverpool had both central defenders, for Madrid were out. Ramos is still nursing that injury, and Varane tested positive for COVID either today or yesterday, so he's out. The fact that they couldn't generate anything with both of their best defenders out speaks volume to the state of that team.
Carvajal was out too, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's three main starters in the back.
They looked dreadful. The defense continues to look to be shambles. Trent Alexander-Arnold has gone from international superstar to a mediocre right back in the span of one season, and it's mind-boggling, and it almost makes me wonder if he's a product of his environment and not the product of talent. And I hate to say that about somebody who's had such large success on such a large stage, but this entire season without VVD and either Joe Gomez or Joe Matip or whoever they want to put back there, he's looked overwhelmed, overmatched. It's almost like he doesn't have his security blanket anymore, and now he's trying to overcompensate, and it's showing. He's getting abused. That game was not anything short of what I thought it would be. Although, with that being said, Toni Kroos, well done, sir. That was one of the most beautiful long ball over the top assists I've seen in a long time. And Kroos is getting up there in age, and he still continues to put on a show day in and day out. That pairing that they have, I won't go and say that it's the best midfield partnership in the world, like as far as club level, but it's definitely up there. That him and Casemiro are fabulous together. So yeah, I know that Liverpool got that away goal. If Varane comes back and Carvajal comes back, I expect it to be at least another 3-1 win for Real. That they showed their class well and above what Liverpool have put on the table at all this year. Even Liverpool at their highest level this year doesn't match up to what Real just put out today.
We talked about this on one of our very first shows, and I'm glad you said his name, Zach, Toni Kroos. In football, the stats definitely don't tell you who is the best player on the team. Like this is one of the beauty of the sport is you can't measure it by simple numbers. Toni Kroos is a guy who probably in a season, he might score 3 or 4 times the whole season. He might get 4 or 5 assists. the whole season. But he's clearly, as Zach alluded to, one of the best in the world at what he does. Like, he is an unbelievable passer. And it's not just, I saw the long ball that set up the goal, a beautiful pass. But his ability to pass the team out of trouble when when the rare times he gets pressed, he can just take one touch, get away, get it to somebody else. Like, he's just an incredible player to watch. And there's nothing that's going to show up on any stat sheet at all. But he's incredible. Luka Modric is like 106. He's still out here running around like he's 18. So yeah, Liverpool is in deep, deep trouble. And as we talked about at the beginning of the year, no Anfield crowd. So what are you going to do in leg 2 with no Anfield down 2?
They would have probably felt a lot better about themselves going back home if they knew they had that in their back pocket and had their crowd. But like you said, you were on the same wavelength just then, because that's what I was going to mention. So not having that home field going back is definitely going to be a big impact for them, because otherwise they'd have been feeling pretty comfortable because they know they're going to have the crowd behind them, going to get them all energized, but that ain't there this time.
I got a question for y'all, and I'm curious to see your opinions. After watching today and seeing what Vinicius Jr. did against Liverpool, is he finally hit his coming out party? Like, is he finally reaching that level that he was supposed to reach? You know, when Madrid signed him as a 16-year-old, he cost like 70 or 80 million pounds. Like, it was an absurd amount for a 16-year-old. And for him to, struggle initially and not quite get the minutes that he thought he would, and probably what Real thought he would, I think he's finally starting to come into his own and start to shine on the biggest stage. Because, regardless of how you look at it, doing it against Liverpool, whether it's their best of the best or, they're still the defending champions, they're still, it's something that needs to be noticed and recognized, in my opinion.
Now he's what, 21?
Yeah, he's 21 now.
Yeah, I think when you talk about Zach, he came to their team young, and he also came like in the middle of their like peak period. Like, he came when they were in the middle of 3 Champions Leagues in a row, so he didn't get minutes. The adjustment to that level of football. So I think this could be his time, where it's finally, he's getting to play more. I think, which in any sport, any play, you just need minutes. So I think this could be the start for him, what he was supposed to be, because you forget that he is still really young.
Yeah, he's only 20. He doesn't turn 21 until July, so he's 20 still. And one big match in the Champions League like this could definitely kind of vault someone into a different category. So I think that he is starting to really fulfill that enormous potential that saw Real pay all that money for him. So
just ask Erling Haaland.
Hey,
you talk about, and it's so hard as a young player to get minutes on that team.
Yeah,
you talk about like he's not my guy, but we have Martin Odegaard at Arsenal. He came to Real Madrid at 14, 15?
14, yeah.
14. And basically hasn't played for the better part of 5 years. So it's so hard to get minutes and get into such a side that you just need opportunity. But let's flip to tomorrow. And of course, we're going to start with Porto, Chelsea. As you see, Zach and Joe fully dressed, ready to be subbed in if necessary. Zach, how you feeling about this one? Because there's no easy roads in the quarterfinals. But if this was not the worst of draws, we'll say that. How you feeling?
Yeah, it's everybody wanted Porto. Now that's not a slight against Porto. They're still in the quarterfinals. Like, they knocked off Juve. It's not a slouch of a team. And just like, I know City got a favorable draw against Dortmund, but that doesn't make them any less competitive. It doesn't make them any less of a threat. And, Porto is hurting because they don't have their captain. I know for at least leg one, Olivero, who's put in like 19 goals this year for them, which is huge. That's going to hurt them a lot. And truth be told, on our guys trip this weekend, we watched Chelsea in the morning, and Chelsea got thrashed by West Brom 5-2, and I was really upset about it. Like, I just didn't understand it. And then the next day after that, there was a huge fight on the training ground between Kepa and Rudiger. They both got dismissed from training altogether, and I was like, "What the hell is happening?" But I took a step back. I kind of thought about it, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Maybe this is exactly what we need. Maybe you need to be punched in the mouth, reminded that you are human. They had been unbeaten since Tuchel got there. Maybe they got a little cocky. Maybe they were getting ahead of themselves, thinking they would coast through West Brom and head into Porto. And they paid for it. So, maybe this is exactly what they need to refocus and take this, two-legged advantage down. It's not at home for either team. So they're going to Sevilla, which, is Olivier Giroud's home. So I'll be interested to see if he starts. We have, I think, every single player is back now from injury, including Tammy Abraham. Thiago Silva came back, but I actually think he's going to be on the bench for this match. I would not be surprised to see Christensen return with Rudiger and Azpilicueta, and Pulisic subbed himself out for the second half of that West Brom game. He got injured, shockingly. He's becoming like Eden Hazard as far as like injury status. He can't stay healthy. He can't get a good run of form, and I know it's got to be taking the toll on him mentally wise. That's got to be hard to want to compete, to know that when you are competing and you get that run of form, that you can be lethal. We saw it at the end of last year. Without that, Chelsea doesn't secure Champions League. Christian Pulisic is the reason that Chelsea are in the Champions League this year. And I have no problem saying that. But, it'll be interesting to see, does Timo line up? Does Kai line up in that false nine? Is Giroud up there? It'll be interesting to see what lineup Tuchel comes up with. I'm confident. I'm kind of like Joe. I'm not naive enough to think that we'll walk through this, because I don't. And I know Jerry made a joke that we were going to score 4 goals. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, I will be thoroughly surprised. I don't think Porto is that bad enough to let 4 goals go in one setting. They're a pretty solid defensive team. Pepe in his 96th year, like Luka Modric, is had a bit of a resurgence, and he's been the anchor for them. So I'm excited. I'm slightly nervous, but I think we'll see it through 2 legs. I think the time has changed though for tomorrow's games. I think it's 1:30 is the kickoffs.
It's showing 3 on my thing, but I'll dig a little deeper real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. Why no Zuma for you?
Why no Zuma?
Mm-hmm.
I love Kurt Zuma. I think he's by far one of our best defenders. I think the problem is he doesn't fit in that right center back spot where you would put him over Azpilicueta, because he's left-footed, so that doesn't help him. I rate Kurt Zuma very, very highly, and I actually rate Fikayo Tomori really highly as well. Chelsea screwed up when they sent him to AC Milan on loan, especially because they only had put a $25 million buy clause on him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see AC Milan trigger that and we lose out on him. But I would love to see Kurt Zuma in that back 3. The problem is I don't know where he fits, because Rudiger can't play on the right side, even though he's right-footed. He doesn't mesh well on that right side, and it's shown. Mm-hmm. Christensen is by far the best option we have in that middle center back. He showed it in Germany. He showed it with Antonio Conte when Conte had his Champions League or his Premier League run, he had Christensen in that middle of that back three, and he excelled. So I think Christensen's game is best there. I think fit, and I think that's where you'll see some changes in the summer. Where does Chelsea go from here as far as do they stick with that back three? Do they go to a two center back partnership? There's been talks that they're going to move Reece James to that right center back spot and bring in somebody, maybe play Callum Hudson-Odoi back there, or bring in another right wing back. I've heard Hakimi's name being thrown around. There's a lot of options out there. We have some guys that are coming back on loan that are going to want to put their stamp on things. One of them will actually face in the next two legs, Marlon Sarr. He's been a center back for Porto this year, and he's played very, very well. So I know he's going to want to stake his claim as well. It'll be interesting. I can't give you a good answer on why Tuchel doesn't like Zuma. I think if you still look at his Premier League stats, he's still up there on goals scored for defenders. I think he's up near the top, and he hasn't played hardly at all.
Joe, I'm gonna flip over to you as the man. To me, the most exciting tie, and that's PSG Bayern Munich, which I think that could go so many different ways. I think there's the potential for 4-3, 5-4. There's also the potential that Bayern could run PSG out of the building the first leg, because that's just kind of what Bayern does. Talk to me about Bayern PSG in leg one, Joe.
Well, we know that Lewandowski is out for this one, so that who Bayern chooses to put in his spot, I think, is the biggest key. Who's going to play up top? They still have a ton of talent, so I don't think it hurt. Obviously, it's going to hurt losing the best goal scorer in soccer right now, but they have the quality across the pitch to make up for that. So like you said, I think this is going to be the best matchup. This is easily could have been a final for this year if the draw would have gone a little differently. So we got Jay's Bayern, Mr. Ham, and we got MJ's team Mbappe going against each other tomorrow. So I think the biggest key, and the most thing I'm looking forward to, is seeing who Bayern puts up top in place of Lewandowski, because the rest of the lineup kind of fills in fairly easily. But that position is something that we shall have to pay close attention to about an hour before kickoff to see what the lineups are going to be.
I would be surprised if it's anybody but Serge Gnabry.
Former Arsenal legend.
So they have the other two options would be what, Goretzka and Mueller, if they wanted to go those routes.
I mean, I haven't seen Goretzka play a single minute this year in that false nine role. Same. Mueller, I don't think his game fits for that anymore. He's your traditional center forward, false nine. And I think he's more of a hindrance now, in his older age in that role. Any game that I've seen where either Lewandowski gets subbed off or he doesn't start, I've seen I've seen Gnabry there. Mm-hmm. So it would be truly a surprise if you see anybody other than Gnabry. And let's not, Serge Gnabry is a hell of a backup to have. That's not a bad thing.
No, Serge he's a really good player. And he gives them that element of speed up top that obviously he's not Lewandowski clearly, but he's a different element that you prepare for when you're talking about preparing for his speed. I think for PSG, obviously you make the final last year, you lose to Bayern last year in the final. This is, not that every game is important, but if you look at what's happening to PSG in France, this is taking on an additional meaning. And we're going to talk about this in a little quick European roundup, because they are struggling in the French league.
Mhm.
Like, we're gonna talk about that in a second. So for PSG, I think this is big. I think for Neymar, this is really big. I think Neymar has, and we talked about his reputation, like he always is hurt around this time. Like usually Neymar, round of 16 quarterfinals, Neymar is mysteriously hurt all the time.
Yep.
And he had a very passive performance against Bayern in the final last year. This is to me sort of, I don't say restore his reputation, but for him personally, he needs to have a good 2 legs. One, for them to win, and I think two, just kind of for his own narrative.
I don't think it's going to happen.
And all it makes sense.
I don't know. This game is going to be one of those things where I fully expect it to be 9-8 over 2 legs. Like it's going to be a damn goal fest. I'm here for it. I want to see it. I want to see the highlights. I hope both teams are, obviously Lewandowski's out, but I want to see them at their best. I want to see 2 heavyweights just stand in the ring and just throw punches.
Both going up and down the pitch, playing open football, just attacking and playing their style and not trying to change things just because of the circumstances, but just playing their game and just playing the game the way it's supposed to be played.
You have to play that way because Bayern has shown this year they've not been this airtight defense this year. You can get goals against Bayern. I think PSG don't play reckless, but certainly don't park the bus. I think you really have to go at them. Go at them a little bit. Put 2-3 goals on them early. Even if you come out with a draw in the first leg, if you come out with like a 2-2 or a 3-3, that works for you going to leg 2.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap up, fellas, we gotta talk about really quickly around Europe before we wrap up. The 2 leagues that I was like, I kind of took a peek at the standing. Was like, really? France and Spain were the 2 leagues. I was like, what is going? First of all, shit. So Lille, who has sold Arsenal, the Arsenal connection. I have to get Arsenal in, fella, because there's nothing else to talk about.
Oh, don't worry, I got something for you.
They've sold us their 2 best players back-to-back summers. So they've got $100 million off of Arsenal the last 2 summers. And they're in first place in the French league as we record this. But then the other one, and it seems like the tide is starting to shift. This is what I want to talk about you guys is, don't look now. So, you drive in the car, they say objects are closer than they appear.
Mm-hmm.
Barcelona has righted the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And now, not only are we talking about them possibly winning La Liga, but we had this conversation 2 months, man, this is the end of Messi and Barcelona. Well, maybe not.
Yep.
So, fella, just some quick thoughts. I know we don't really cover the French league, so let's just kind of start with Barcelona and the resurgence, the return. Well, not actually the return of Messi because Messi's always there, but Barcelona slowly walking Atletico Madrid down for the La Liga title.
And that was, this is something we talked about. I don't know, it was 2 or 3 shows ago. We talked about who we thought was going to finish, and win the league. And I know a couple of us, and me, I know I had said it too. I thought Barcelona were going to walk them down and win this league rather comfortably. And I know, Joe, you thought so as well.
Mm-hmm.
They righted the ship at the right time, and they are on a tear. And although I don't think it's going to help their Messi situation this summer, I still think he goes somewhere. I don't know where it is. I don't think it's going to be City anymore. I'm kind of wondering if he does, if Mbappe goes and leaves, if we don't see, this is going to be really weird. And I don't know how I feel about it, but a front 3 in Paris next year of Neymar, Messi, and Sergio Aguero. That would be a really interesting front 3. If Mbappe decides he wants to leave and wants a new challenge and goes, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't really see Mbappe having a reason to leave. But if he does, if he wants to push for, you know, a Champions League, and he doesn't think he's going to get it at PSG, I could honestly see that being the front three. I think that's the only way Sergio Aguero doesn't either A, go back to Argentina, or B, come to Chelsea.
Well, I mean, I think we talked about this, but there's only so many places he can really go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's only about 3 places who can really afford it. Take whether he's for free or not, the pure salary that he's going to command. You're talking about 3 teams that can really afford it. And so I think your scenario, you may sound weird to you now, but I don't think it's out of the question, because I just don't think there's only about 3 players that can really afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And PSG is one of those 3 places.
And, you know, the funny thing about that is UEFA couldn't even get upset about it because Aguero and Messi would both be on free transfers. So they can't even complain about financial fair play, even though FFP is not a thing anymore. But, you know, that would be a real big dose of karma to UEFA.
It hurt my heart a little bit to see Sergio in anything other than a City jersey or his boyhood club back in Argentina. But it seems like he's not quite ready to put an end to his top flight league career yet. So your second scenario about him going into Chelsea in royal blue would cause a
let's start right there.
Slight issue
right there, Joe.
Just a little bit of an issue.
Let's start right there. Aguero, obviously, however you view it, 1 or 2 of City's greatest players of all time. You can have an argument for a couple of the people, but he's obviously heavy in the conversation. We know he's leaving at the end of the year. Purely with your City cap, all the bias you can muster, it's cool. If Sergio Aguero signs for another team in the Premier League, will you be mad?
That is my dude. So it would be extremely awkward to see him in another team's kit. And outside of 2 matchups, I would probably still be rooting for him, to be 100% honest. Otherwise, if it's Chelsea, I actually wouldn't be overly upset, just because Zach at least would get to enjoy him a little bit. And I could talk to him a little bit about it.
Joe, you don't have to lie to us. It's okay. If he signed with Chelsea, you couldn't be upset. It's fine.
He's gonna don't let him front. He's gonna be pissed.
Initially, I will be very upset. I will not lie about that. However, I would have no ill will or anger towards him if he chose to do that. I would be mad just to see him in the kit, but I wouldn't be mad at him at all.
Could you imagine the first time he repped the badge or kissed the badge?
Joe.
See, that would not be acceptable. He can celebrate, but there will be no kissing of the badge.
Joe,
that's not acceptable.
I've known of you, Joe, for like a couple years, right? You're a pretty level-headed dude, for the most part.
I try to be.
Level-headed conversation, never do anything reckless. If Sergio Aguero turns up in a Chelsea uniform, I believe I will see the dark side of you. I believe whatever dark side Joe Mavor has will appear, simply because you're not going to be able to take the banter from Zach. If for no other reason,
every goal he scores in Chelsea Blue will be celebrated like it is the greatest goal since King Drogba in the Champions League final. I truthfully though, you know, and this is just my opinion, I don't think he's going to go to Chelsea, but I think as long as Sergio Aguero doesn't go across the city, you know, and sign for United, which would be, there's no way he would do that. And as long as he doesn't go to Merseyside and sign for Liverpool, I think Joe would probably be a little bit more level-headed. I think he would be upset. And I will absolutely make it my goal every time he scores to let him know that, you let him walk away for free. Especially if they continue to have Gabriel Jesus and not, since they can't, Pep's words, they can't sign a striker. They don't have the money. He said it. You're not getting Erling Haaland.
If they sign him, that would make things a lot easier to stomach. And you're right. If he signed for United or Liverpool, I would be extremely pissed off. Extremely pissed off. And if Zach and I have not gotten as close as we have over the past year or so, then my reaction to him signing for Chelsea would probably be a little bit different, and I'll be more of an asshole. But Zach and I have gotten real close over the past year and some change. So I know the banter will absolutely be there for sure,
Joe.
But I probably wouldn't take it nearly as well as I will now, and if and when it does happen. But like I said, if this was about a year and a half ago, and Zach and I weren't as close as we are, and he tried to come with that BS, then things might be a little bit different. But Zach's my guy now, so it's all in good fun and out of love. So for me and him, it will absolutely be some fun and a really nice, playful banter going back and forth and some shit talking. But
I would tell you this: if I am a team, if Aguero wants to stay in Europe, if I'm a team and you just like a piece away, just like we are a striker away. Now, obviously, he's had his physical issue, man. Like if I'm Barcelona, despite the role they're on, really needs a striker really bad.
You mean you don't have faith in Martin Braithwaite?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely
no.
No.
If I'm Barcelona, absolutely.
From what I've been seeing with him, it seems like the hang up for anybody is that they don't want to pay as much as he is wanting to be paid a week.
If as much we've joked about this, looking at how Chelsea's season has unfolded, if you're really ready, and Zach just leads right into you. If you are telling me, okay, Timo Werner is going terribly this year, and I don't think it's going to get better, or at least don't think he's going to be what we paid for. I'm Chelsea. With that midfield that they have, and the ability to create chances, like Chelsea's midfield with Kovacic, Jorginho, Mount, they can create stuff for. If you have a decent number 9 at Chelsea, they'll get chances. As much as we joke about this, to me, if it's Chelsea, it's a no-brainer. Honestly, unless you really think that Timo Werner is going to come out of it, and if you really think maybe someone like a younger dude like a Tam or somebody can step up into that role, I think if I'm Chelsea, it's the first call on June 1st to me.
So here's how I expect Chelsea's transfer list to go. Timo's not going anywhere. That's blatantly obvious. However, Timo Werner is not going to be Chelsea's number 9. Not now, not next year, not ever.
Not ever.
I think that his translation from the German game to the English game is going to force him to change positions. He plays really, really well out on that left wing. If you look at Timo's stats this year, yeah, the goals aren't there and the clinical finishing isn't there, but he's contributing on assists on a very high level. He's contributing on key passes, on take-ons, creating, getting us corner kicks. That's all there. So, and thankfully, knock on wood with Christian Pulisic's injury continuance, it's not stopping any progression there. We're not halting anyone from playing in that left wing role where Pulisic normally plays because he can't stay healthy enough to take that spot. So this is where I really think you're going to see I think Tammy Abraham's done. I think he's tired of Chelsea. I think he's tired of the fact that he feels disrespected. Can't say as I blame him. You know, to this day, he hasn't played in like 10 matches and he's still our leading Premier League goal scorer, which is not great. That's not a great thing to have.
Yeah. As I sit here and think about
You,
that,
you just said that and you were like, hold on, wait a second.
It's
yeah,
not.
that's what I think about.
It's not. It's not good. But that highlights what I had when I did the blind football manager. You know, we're creating the chances, we're just not finishing them. So, first call on June 1st is to Mino and Alf and Erling. You know, they're in the sweepstakes whether anybody else likes them or not. Chelsea and Mino don't get along, so I think that's ultimately going to be a big factor in this. And the fact that he wants 20 million and Alf wants 20 million just for being who they are, which is mind blowing to me. But that's neither here nor there. I think option 1B is the return of Romelu Lukaku. His return to Chelsea would be fantastic. He fits the English game. He can excel in the English game. He's big, he's strong, he's physical, he's still fast. And he is absolutely on one of the best tears for goal scoring around the world. Completely unnoticed, you know, and undervalued. So I think that is probably going to be 1B if Haaland is off the table. 1C, honestly, is probably Sergio Aguero. And I know that it's, you know, anytime you have a player like Aguero end his career, you know, I look at it a lot like Frank Lampard when he left Chelsea. You know, he went to City. It's because he can still play at a high level. That's not it. It's just, you know, City's moving in a different direction. Chelsea decided to move into a different direction when it was time for Lampard to go. So I mean, I don't hate the idea. I don't know. I think Giroud at this point knows that he will never be the guy at Chelsea. And I think he's okay with that as long as he continues to get his minutes when he needs to. But on the same token, I know he's worried. He wants to play in the next World Cup. That's big for him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him walk. So now you would have Giroud gone, potentially, and you'd have Tammy Abraham on the last year of his contract. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Chelsea try to cash in before they lose him for free.
Mm-hmm.
But then they would need not one, but maybe two strikers. So you could see a place where they sign both Lukaku and Sergio Aguero if they can't get a Haaland.
Based on how Roman likes to win. He want to win immediately. And I know you said the relationship between Mino Raiola and Chelsea is not good. I could see that the Lukaku Aguero double is not the worst thing that can happen to you.
I've seen far worse partnerships in the world.
That's not the worst thing in the world at all. Definitely. So I think that's gonna be interesting. When we get closer to the window, obviously, we'll definitely talk about that. I think Haaland, you know, is it possible to just price yourself out of the room? Because
he's priced himself out of 95% of the clubs.
Right. We know the financial situation for like 98% of the European clubs is not good. Like that's why I think Barcelona, I guess, is really trying to convince Haaland to stay in Germany one more year so they can get the knockdown price summer 22. And I'm sure Mino Raiola is like, yeah, that's cool, but I still need my 20 M's. And
he's probably going to want more, to be honest.
And Haaland's father's like, yeah, he's my son. I'm going to need my 20 M's too. Yep. So when we get to the summer, we're going to definitely talk about that. So fellas, wrapping up, I guess we could just do, so Joe, let me ask you a question. What time is the city championship party?
About championship party?
About 3 weeks?
Might be less than that depending on some other results.
About 3 weeks away? So about 3 weeks.
It's going down. Zach, are you driving out to Maryland to come party with me?
Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah,
I'll just call you and message you live, and you
Yeah.
can see the whole shebang.
You enjoy
walking
that,
away
fam.
with City walking away with England. Bayern, I think that's about 2 or 3 more weeks
That's
away from
done.
that being done.
Yeah.
They're 7 up now, so
Yeah, Inter looks in pretty
Yep.
much control.
Leipzig went on a bad run.
Yeah, Leipzig had a bad run, so Bayern's pretty much done and dusted. Inter looks like they're pretty comfortably.
They
gonna
got
win
it.
Serie A.
They got 8 points and they got a game in hand, so they have potentially an 11-point lead.
Yeah.
So
And Juve is in 4th right now with we still have a game to play, so they still got some work to do.
Before we close out, I want my man Jamal to come on camera real quick. Jeremy, if you hear me, I know you hear me. Matter of fact, come on camera real quick.
1 second on my way.
For life.
For life.
Don't do that.
Oh,
For life.
was this going on?
Roddy, all
Oh
weekend,
my
bro.
God.
All
Oh my
weekend, brother.
God.
Every time we score a goal. For life.
Oh God, Zach, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry we introduced this man to this sport. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so look. Let's start at the top. The guys
Let's
gave
not.
me a good schooling this weekend. Shouts out to them. We got to watch. We watched quite a few teams this weekend.
Yeah, 3
It
matches.
was really, really, really good. Even before we left the Airbnb, we watched some more soccer. I mean, it was really, really fun. I'll be honest, man. I enjoyed the team that I picked. Shouts out to me. Shouts out to y'all. Y'all was very, very instrumental in our success. For life, my guy Joe. For life, City until we go. Let's go.
So,
So
Jeremy,
we're gonna be warming up this number about two and a half weeks. 2.5 weeks. Yeah, about 2.5 weeks.
yeah, about 3
2.5
weeks. It should be over.
Yeah.
So, Jerm, now that you actually had to, you obviously you're behind the scenes on all the shows, you've gone through Know Your Role, and you actually got to sit and actually watch it, like now with some more knowledge to it. How did you like it? I mean, taking the city part out of it.
It is one of the most fun things to watch because it's so much that goes on and on every pass means something. Everything is very, very it's a high energy sport. Obviously, you want to be in good shape. But we were just sitting there watching it, and what I enjoyed the most is that it is just like the games we enjoy watching now. It's a lot like basketball with the too much ball handling. Kyrie dribbling too much, like he's trying to, kill a mosquito with a machine gun. Why are we doing this? Why are we dribbling too much? Some of the passing, some of the precise kicks, all of those different things. Like, how do you not like that? Like a couple of these goals today, like when you guys were talking about the Real Madrid matchup, that game was crazy. Like the over the head pass from 3/4 court to a streaking man, like that's Tom Brady to Antonio Brown for a touchdown right there.
Yeah,
it's a pitch, not a court, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, hey, look, you correct me. I'm gonna get the terminology down. Don't worry, you correct me. Just remember, for life, City.
Truth be told, results not outstanding, but that Chelsea West Brom game was a phenomenal match for some of the guys to watch who aren't normal watchers of it, because there was 2 yellows which led to a red for Thiago Silva. There was 7 goals between the teams, and it was a good match. There was a lot of, and Joe can attest to this, there were some of the most blatant fouls that were just not called, and I didn't even say anything. Everybody else around me was the ones that were calling it.
It was probably me and Joe.
I was the worst one being upset for him. Ronnie, you would be very proud of Zach for that particular match.
He was cool.
He was way more chill than I would have been. I would have been more upset and animated when they made some really terrible non-calls that would have benefited Zach and stuff. And then the referee had a couple where he called them and they were like, why not be consistent? Where's the consistency? That was the same thing that happened on the other end of the pitch that you didn't call. And I was about to lose my mind a couple of
I ain't
times.
gonna lie
Zach
to
was
you.
just chilling on the couch, relaxed.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Zach took it like a man. The West Brom ass kicking, he took like a man, knowing that it was some things that didn't go his way. That right there, watching him in that situation, I said, I know I would be upset. And just in general. But
It shit hurt. I'm not gonna lie. And then our boy Jorge, he didn't miss any beat to rub it in my face numerous times. Not
He
just during the match,
I think
but I'm sure he did.
Again.
Yeah. Hashtag bilingual.
Yes,
but
bilingual. Now you're not gonna be hashtagging bilingual no more because he's still commenting.
I'm sure. That's fine. He's just mad because the Mets are trash.
Hey, let's see what he said. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's saying, just in case you didn't know, Chelsea lost while in Pittsburgh.
See?
Yep. See?
That was all day Saturday.
Shout out to the Dish Wednesday nights. Check them out. Our baseball guys are real aggressive. I've found that over the last couple of days. Real aggressive.
Don't call it for what it is. They're assholes.
You said it, I didn't. Shout out to
I mean, that's fine. I can say it because
kind of aggressive. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if
it's too many New Yorkers, man. It's too many New Yorkers.
Man,
that was it right there.
I told y'all before, they didn't want to believe me, Ronnie. I said the New Yorkers that we have in our group, they're a little rude. And Mo tried to get shout out to Mo Schefter for taking up for Vic, but he tried to act like Vic wasn't rude. He just tell it like it is. But I had to remind them that they all don't like when Germ get to tell them how it is. So Germ might be a little bit more New Yorker than Vic is some days. So, hey, but hey, shouts out to Vic. He even walk like a New York dude.
Do
he? Hey,
bro,
off camera.
Oh my Lord.
Clearly not on camera. Off camera. I'm gonna get the report on the scene weekend. We'll call it the winter meetings. It's like the Major League Baseball winter meeting. This is the winter meetings.
Better buckle up.
So we will be back next Tuesday to preview. To see, we will have actually the results of 2 of the quarterfinals by the time we check in next Tuesday. We'll definitely talk about what's going on in the other set of quarterfinals. I'm thrilled for them. My man Germaldo got his first immersion into football experience and the football culture. That's pretty dope. This guy. Jesus Christ. Hey, Joe, I'm going to tell you, we're not doing it for life signs. I might let you do it one show once this clinch happens, but we're not doing this all summer. I'm telling you,
we're not about to do this.
If we win the quadruple, bro, I will be unbearable for y'all for the entire summer. I'm telling you that right now.
Hey, I'm telling you,
I will mute you.
I'm gonna be in the background. Listen, I will go to an undisclosed location and I will start sea walking for these folks.
Hey, I think the worst thing that can happen to this show is City winning the Champions League. I really think if this, as much as I want to hear Joe sing the UEFA anthem, I think that it could be a lot worse.
It'll be unbearable, man. Like
it'll be a lot worse.
Joe's my boy. Like that's.
I know.
Cool. I'd be happy for him.
I didn't met y'all in person. Joe is the guy, right? Like, Joe is cool, but I really feel like a City Champions League win.
I'm about this close to after this next leg, and City secures it. I'm about to write off any hope for rooting for them, period, because I can't.
Joe's making this unbearable.
Now, that being said, if they end up losing in the FA Cup to Chelsea here coming up, and they lose out on the quadruple, I'd be a little bit more vindicated and be okay.
When is that
Saturday?
2 seconds.
It's coming up.
It's gotta be.
It's either this Saturday or next Saturday, I think.
I think it's next Saturday.
April 17th, so next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Okay, So next Tuesday,
12:30
we
p.m.
have. Now we're not gonna give it away because I'm sure there's a Blue versus Blue podcast, but we will definitely have a
Eventually.
We're gonna have something on Chelsea City next week in the FA Cup for sure. Joe, Zach, Germ, Ron, Stoppage Time FC, football for the people by the